It's Monday, and guess what? Guess what, Eric? I made it through. I made it through the weekend.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I almost didn't. I'll tell you what, West Virginia fans, it was a gut wrencher, and I really thought after getting my heart broken on Monday night, same type of scenario. The game was looking real good, like they had it in hand, and then it just the wind just went out of the sails, just went flat. That's what happened with the Mountaineers. With 6-7 minutes left, I said, if they put up another score, I think we're just going to start walking to the car. And that's exactly what I did. I left that game, guys.
You got to have more faith, brother. You got to have more faith.
I do have faith, but there's, like 10 hours of asphalt beer. I only had maybe 2 beers, but it was just, I was exhausted. And it was well worth all that time. And I will sit in a Dick's parking lot and listen to that result time and time again because it was fantastic. Eric, what were your feelings when you listened to that game?
Oh, that game was fantastic to watch on TV or live. But in particular on TV, it gave me the chance to run. Every once in a while, my blood pressure was spiking. It was too much. I'd walk out of the room. I would do anything. And then I'm like, all right, I'm calmed down. I can go back in. And, I would check. And, I think a lot of fans do the superstition kind of thing. If the game improved when I walk out of the room, then I can't watch the rest of the game. I didn't do that because that's crazy. I'm not superstitious. I'm just stitious.
My left butt cheek is good luck, so I'm just gonna lean on that one until the other one falls through, right? No,
yeah, all these things.
So everybody's already went through like what happened, but we're gonna go through it for ourselves just because, we have to. It is the pit game. We're gonna talk a little bit about Kansas on the back end. We're gonna talk about the stats, talk about the Big 12, but right now, let's talk about quarterback play. Quarterback play overall, I would say, was kind of flat, and then the end of the game was an A+.
I think that's fair. I think there were, you had moments of spikes here and there. Scotty's first appearance was really good. The catch and run was just incredible. Terrible that there was the injury at the end, but actually both players got injured. But I was actually glad to see Nico get some time on the sideline because I genuinely think that I think Rich goes over replays on the tablet with the quarterbacks to kind of explain what's happening on the field and to help them understand what they're seeing. And I noticed that when Nico came back, he was doing better.
I agree. I think that's time well spent. Jalen Henderson still looked a little bit. He did. We talked a little bit before the game, before the show about this. When Nico was in, it seemed like the ends collapsed. When that pocket folded in, there was no place for him to go. When Jalen went in, he escaped a few times, and that kind of changed the dynamic of the defense going forward.
For the rest of the game.
For the rest of the game. And then when you got Fox in there, they still had to respect that outer edge, that them being able to escape. So that opened up Edwards, and boy, he is, as the old ball coach who used to say, they are who we thought they were. Yeah, I mean, he is the man we thought he was, and my goodness,
Shane, you called that. You called that early on, and I hadn't really watched tape on him yet. And you turned me on to him, and I looked him up on YouTube. My goodness, he is every bit as good as advertised.
Yeah, and he doesn't look fast because he's so lanky. Like Eric Dickerson. Like, you realize he went past, and it's like, oh, that was just 2 steps. But it's just like Brent Kiesel was talking about Michael Vick. He's like, I turn the corner, I go to grab him, I take a step, and he's 5 steps ahead of me. That's the difference, that closing speed. Like, you think you're on the guy, and that's what Jalen Henderson did. Like, he breaks through that little collapsing pocket and got 6 yards, and where Nico would probably get maybe 3 or 4. That makes a big difference in distance and direction when you're if you do make a mistake, get behind. There were a lot of 2nd and 12s and some strange situations they kept putting themselves in. Not as bad as Pitt, though, as far as the penalties.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Pitt really shot themselves in the foot. Narduzzi was saying he felt the officials treated him poorly. I disagree. I thought I thought the officials were very involved. I don't think they did the best job, but I don't think there was any bias certainly against Pitt. In fact, I saw a lot of no calls that I think favored Pitt. The fumbles that weren't called fumbles, there were a few of those.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that play right before the half? Right before the half.
Yeah, right before the half, you did see a state trooper. There's a picture of him smiling while Rich Rod is giving that poor ref the riot act. And, I was one of the boo birds. I was booing because here's the thing. You would think that there would be some sort of, you add 15 yards to the kick or the spot of the foul for the kickoff on the, the next quarter. Or you get a 2 seconds added onto the clock. I don't know. There has to be some rule adjustment because they did call it right. You looked it up, and what do you think? Do you think that's fair and right aren't always the same thing? So
I love it, man. Right is oftentimes subjective, and unfortunately, I do think they made the right call. It was ironic if Nico had fallen on his butt with 0, left on the clock, we actually get an extension. But because he was down at 1 second, there's a little bit of time left, and at that point, the defense has the option to call a 10-second runoff. And the only way that the offense can offset that is with a timeout. And that's why that referee made that weird statement about the timeout that everybody's like, what in the hell does that have to do with anything? It just wasn't explained very well.
Yeah.
It's a terrible rule. Terrible rule.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Now, that's unfortunate, but fortunately for us, I just got out of focus. So let me fix that real quick. I have a remedy. And the cure is more cowbell. There I am. So you get to see my big, fat, beautiful face. So, guys, listen. So, if you don't know, I live about 2 hours from Morgantown. And we made it back in about an hour and 30 minutes because my buddy drives like a maniac. So we were trying to listen to the post-game show. And Rich Rod was almost, I wouldn't say unprofessional, but unlike himself. He's always emotional, but he was emotional to the fact that it's almost like those cats that get interviewed after an accident or after a Bigfoot sighting. They're just like, they're amped up. And it's like, it was great. It was like talking to a kid on Christmas. What are your thoughts?
When Rich came back, he said, I'm not the same coach I was 20 years ago. I hope I'm a better coach today and now than from 20 years ago, and I hope to be a better coach next week and next year. And you hear that kind of stuff, and you're thinking, okay, it's coach speak, kind of no. I thought that is possibly one of the best post-game pressers from any head coach ever. He made points without having to say them exactly. And you're right. He was like a kid. He was like a kid at band camp that had too much sugar. He was wound tight. Yeah, it was great. I loved. He made the point about the kids. And if you're really worried about them, why are they still in the game? If you're really worried about them, that rule needs to be changed. If you go out, I especially on defense, there's already a rule in place to prevent that. They obviously didn't study up on that, but I think it should be automatic. It should not be a determination. It should be the kind of thing you go down, You don't come back in for at least 4 plays. Rich suggested it, the rest of the offensive series that might be a little bit extreme. Rich may be politicking there, but four downs. I think that's fair.
I call it the Rich Rod hurt feelings rule. You could fall down if you have hurt feelings, and Rich Rod says stay the F out of the game because that they were flopping, and you don't do this kind of stuff. I have to get my prop. Hold on, it's caught up into my. You don't sit there and do this. When hey, are you feeling okay? Are you feeling okay? Is it a cramp? By the way, you're going to do cover 2. Now, like, come on, they're doing plays.
They didn't normally. If somebody has a cramp, you see somebody stretching them out on the field. That never happened, and those guys walked off, and miraculously they were in the same series.
Oh my gosh! They get up there like, hallelujah! Woo! Like they got like, oh man, what was that? Like they tore an ACL or something, and then all of a sudden they're just like, ooh, just rub some dirt on it.
It's funny. There was a lot of cases during this game, and the backyard brawl is always like this. There's always weird little things that happen. There's things that are difficult to predict that have big consequences. We can talk about Oliver Straw's amazing one-handed catch on the bad snap. But getting back to officiating, losing our linebacker 33, I forget his name.
Targeting. It was
technically
like this much of his head, like just a little bit. It was kind of.
They're going to call that all the time this year, and we're going to, and it's a stupid rule.
They're going to call
anything above in the neck or head area, and even if it's just you come rushing in, because most linemen are taught you rush in with your arms up to affect the throw. The problem is you follow through with that because these guys are 250 plus pounds. They're not ballerina. They aren't that kind of. They don't have that kind of coordination. They're going to follow through. They're going to run into the quarterback. You're going to see so many penalties as a result. It was the right call, but it's stupid. What we're going to end up teaching defensive defenders is that you take their quarterback's knees out.
No, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to start just cutting them in two.
Stupid.
So, do you think, talking about heat for Pitt, do you think Narduzzi's on the hot seat? His booty cheeks are warming up.
If he wasn't, let's put it this way, I think Pitt needs to be appreciative of him. I don't care for the guy, but not a Pitt fan. I think he's done pretty well for Pitt. They have not had a good run before then with their coaches, but losing to West Virginia when they were up by 10, he's feeling the heat that Neil Brown felt last year.
Yep.
And people are all over him. I'll tell you something else that's got to be weighing on Panthers fans' minds. When you look at the PFF, so if you have good recruits, if you look at the average scores of your recruits, a lot of times it's a great indicator to how your team's going to perform and comparatively against another team. You got to have talent to win games. Well, their scores are better than ours. There's no doubt about it. However, Rich is outstanding at getting the right guys for his system. And his system doesn't care about recruiting scores, stars, and all that. He's good at judging talent, always has been. Narduzzi's team scored better on their PFF ratings than we did. But we came away with the most important statistic.
Paper-wise, they look better on paper.
Better on paper, and they even perform better. Excuse me. The one place they didn't, Eli Holstein's rating was not very good. I think it was in the 50s. Pretty sure that Nico's was in the 60s. But I guarantee you, Panthers fans are really upset because, they botched a 10-point lead, and they went completely. It looked like somebody pulled the plug on them.
Yeah, it did. And here's the thing that I was thinking about. I mentioned this kid. His name's Dante from Hickory. He's a tight end, class of 2028 or 7. Big 6'3", defensive end, tight end, athletic. Came from up by Hickory. It's up by Hermitage. It's up towards the Ohio Pennsylvania border. He was there with about 12 other recruits. If you are a high school kid, 16, 17 years old, and you see that atmosphere, you're going to have a big NIL check to counter that electricity, that energy, that the palpable, just you can feel just everything going. And then the lights go out at Mountaineer Field, and the way the lighting system's set up, it's like a Broadway play. And for that, I give the Mountaineer Athletic, all the people that do that. I don't know what is the lighting people. I don't know. I don't want to get theatrical or anything, but the people behind the scenes that make the smoke go smoke and the boom go boom and everything happen. Good on you. Great. And here's the other thing. Rich Rod, the product on the field at the end of the game was definitely worth the price of admission. So that's what Mountaineers needed.
Before you get away from that, I want to add to it if I can. So I've told you that before. Usually it's about October after a bunch of the leaves have fallen. I live far enough away from the stadium that I can't hear the stadium usually until the leaves fall. When the leaves fall, if it's a big game, I can hear it. Did not matter that the leaves were on the trees. I could hear from the stadium as if it was in my backyard. I knew that place was rocking. And then you could see on TV they were showing the fan involvement. They showed the lights going out. They showed the other, like you said, the drama lights. I'm going to call them.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was a show. And then after the game, greatest tradition in all of college sports. Fantastic. You see the players walking around, shaking hands with the fans. My goodness. And did you see Rich shake Narduzzi's hand?
I did not. And I did see a picture of it, so I know it happened. But I'm just telling you, we're going to cover that. Hold on.
Rich took 2 steps after shaking Narduzzi's hand, and he immediately just started with the hyped up sugar rush, fists pumping, screaming at the top of his lungs, all the emotion. Narduzzi, it was just like fingernails on a chalkboard to him.
I mean, I was going to show the picture, but I think I'm just going to do this. It's kind of shady. Like, I'm going to do this. So I stopped to get gas in the Meadow, what's called where the Meadowland exit is, I got gas there, and I ran into see if I can pull it up here. Ready? Let us zoom in.
There you go.
Pitt University Pittsburgh police officer. That's me. Look at that. He bought me a cup of coffee. I told him I wouldn't use his name. He couldn't really tell us his face. But he did tell me. Let me see. Okay, I'm coming back in Zoom. He did tell me. Let me just tell you can infer what I'm going to say from this. When I worked at West Point, we had to go to every game because we supported, the operations side of the house. The pyrotechnics, the halftime, all that stuff, the logistics, the transportation, all that. Now, when the other team, I'm still here, the other team would bring their police officers over, we would say, hey guys, there's catering up there. Make sure if you can't get your guy to go up there, bring a plate down to him, or we'll bring a plate down and take care of him. We always took care of the police officers. Louisville, Tulane, Cincinnati, those are the schools that just pop in my mind. Rutgers, those are all places that we have traveled, and it's been reciprocated. They take care of you, you take care of them. West Virginia takes care of the Pitt police, helps them out. Guess who doesn't help the Pitt police out?
Who doesn't help the Pitt police?
Yeah, their own university. He was going to Permanis at 11:15 before they left at 11:30 because he wanted to get a sandwich because they don't give them blue beans or shit.
That's shameful. That is shameful.
Pitt. So right there, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, the karma. It's going to happen. I know, because guess who bought me a cup of coffee? That police officer, because we were shooting the shit. And
Shane, that's terrible.
Isn't that terrible? That bothered me. And I really wanted me to have Pitt eat a load of shit, because you got to take care of them. You got to take care of the people that take care of you. Because guess what? If someone's going to throw something at Narduzzi, guess who's going to be stepping in front of it?
That's right. If somebody's, you throw in those batteries.
Yeah. Someone's going to get batteries that the rich Mountaineer fans are going to be spending. And by the way, guys, at Sam's Club, they're $21.99 if you're going to go throw them at people. So save up when you're throwing your batteries.
I always go to the collection box at work where they have the spent batteries. What are you going to say?
We're going to move on in a little bit. We're going to move on to close the show to Kansas. But before we get to Kansas, the Big 12 is pretty much open. It looks like moving a week from Kansas. The next home game is going to be, they posted at 3:30 in Morgantown against Utah. Now, Kansas is 2-1. Played pretty close against the number 23 Missouri last week. Utah, that is going to be, if West Virginia can pull off a win out in Lawrence, that is going to be a big ticket. What do you think? You think you're going to get more than 62,000 people there if they beat Kansas?
I think, I don't know. Because
here's the
thing. Think it could happen.
Because they lost to Ohio, a lot of people are like, I'm not going down there to watch a Pitt game because I'm not want to watch them get their teeth kicked in. I was that guy. If my buddy wasn't coming in from Michigan, I was going to sell those tickets and watch it on my TV.
I get where you're coming from, and the only reason I'm hesitating, Utah's really good. So that's the thing that's going to hurt us. But, that's going to be a great, if we can pull off the upset, that's going to, like you said, the Big 12 is wide open. That's going to be a great game to go watch if we can pull off the upset.
That's true. And I would be there, but my kid has homecoming, and then I'm going to be working a veterans gun bash in the morning. I do 2 volunteer things with this organization a year, and that's one of them. So I won't be able to make it, but I'm going to be, I gave my tickets away last time. I might probably actually sell them this time, but John Kelly, we're going to talk about that real quick. So Golden Blue dude, I don't know if you guys remember. I remember. His name's Chris. I would watch him all the time. He would wear sunglasses. When Joey found me, he's like, you are like the old generic Golden Blue dude without sunglasses and the personality. And I'm like, if I could even be that much of Golden Blue dude, I'll be happy. So his name was Chris from South Carolina, passed away a few years ago. What a great American, nice guy. We think about you this time of the year, and John, thanks for bringing that up. So, but now let's talk about here. They're going to be honoring the Hall of Fame inductees. Yes. I was looking at the Hall of Fame up at Mountaineer Field. I was surprised that you have Daryl Talley, Eric Rogers, Sam Huff. Who else do you have? Major Harris. I think there's like 2 more. Not a lot on there. Not a lot of names on there. what is one Hall of Fame inductee that you think should be up there that maybe isn't? Would it be a Pat White? What number retired? Would it be Pat White? Or would it be, I don't know. If you put Pat White, you got to put Steve Slayton. It's like,
that's hard to retire numbers. That is really hard.
It is. I don't know. We're not Colorado. We're not just going to retire milly-nilly. But that is really that's another whole conversation. But we got a lot of people in the chat, so we're just going to keep moving on the offense. So let's talk about, before we talk about Kansas, defense, lights out. Top 20, really clicking on all cylinders. Zach Alley is worth every penny. So glad the Mountaineers were able to not only hire him, but retain him, because a lot of people were trying to snatch him away from having him pick up and move away from Morgantown. Do you think he's here for a few years with maybe the chance of becoming the next head coach in waiting?
I don't know. I don't know. Zach is doing an amazing job. I mean, we were talking, early this morning. What was it, 5 a.m.? We were getting ready for today's show, and we were saying, the defense. I don't know if the word elite is appropriate just yet, but we're right on the edge, and he's doing this with so many new players. I don't know how you keep him from leaving, but the best thing I could think that would help him until some time comes. If you are the defensive coordinator under a Rich Rod coach team, you have about as much autonomy is the right word. I should keep it to smaller words. That's too big a word for me. But you can do whatever you want. As long as you're getting results, he's going to stay out of your way. And my God, Zach has just got the defense playing lights out. So to me, that's worth a lot right there. We're paying him pretty well. I think we can there's a little bit more room on what we could offer him. And certainly, I think Zach is doing new things in a defensive scheme that it warrants that discussion of exactly what you just said, head coach in waiting. And I don't know, these days most of your coaches are offensive minded, but he is so groundbreaking in his strategies. I think it's worth having that discussion. What do you think?
No, I think Zach Alley is definitely a winner, and he is just, man, they had to hold him back a couple times, and he's really easy to spot in that powder blue shirt. But I do have some audio of Holstein getting smacked. You want to hear it?
Sure, play it for me.
Oh, that was it. Wait. Oh, that was it. Yeah, he was getting beat around a little bit. So there you go. We are very, very advanced here on the West Virginia Football Channel. So yeah, a little trickery there. No, he said he got punched, and that was a fib. But their numbers don't lie. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Big 12, and defense travels. They're traveling this week to Kansas. They do go up against Jaden Daniels, who is he might be. Do you think he's as good as Ohio's slick 13 man? I'll tell you what.
I think so.
Morrow was slick, but Jaden Daniels, he's prone to get hurt. See what happens.
I think he's just as good. The problem with Daniels is that I don't know that he's as durable.
No. And we're not talking, guys, about hurt feelings like the Pitt players kept having. Boo-boo kitty feelings falling down on the ground and, asking for tummy tickles and belly rubs because they need a breather because Rich Rod's running them ragged.
Well, why you got to do that, man? They got punched in the face with a baby punched them. And then he force fed him a battery. It was terrible.
Wait a second. I hear those batteries hitting them. Oh, that's a battery hitting someone in the head. Oh, another battery. Oh,
You
another
know,
battery.
we got to get that fixed. 'Cause it's not coming through the feed, but I can't wait to hear what it actually is.
Oh, you can't hear it?
No.
Oh man, I can hear it. Anyways, I'm pushing a button. It says bat. It says bang bang, and it's a bat. It's literally a punch. It's a punch sound. So hopefully you can hear it. If you can hear it in the chat, give me a thumbs up. If not, I suck. But Afton Daniels gets injured, not hurt. Yeah, that's true. He does. He gets injured, and Afton knows. Afton is our as I they call me the field correspondent. She's our boots on the ground in Kansas. She knows what's up. Now, Afton, in all of your football, now this Afton is a football juggernaut when it comes to just football in general. I know NFL knowledge. She's just a brainiac. Okay, when we're doing our NFL, our Steelers Dynasty podcast, we'll be like, well, what? Remember this time? What was that player's name? And she'll be like, she'll just put it in the chat. I mean, she doesn't have to look this stuff up. She's like a dictionary. So, Afton, what do you think the West Virginia's chances against Kansas are this week? They're both 2-1, playing over there in Lawrence. What do you think? I want to see what your thoughts are. Oh, she said, fire your intern. Well, I tried to get my intern to come on yesterday, and he didn't. He was doing schoolwork. Yeah, Afton is the bomb. So what's John Kelly say? Yeah, they are top 20 defense. The offense will keep improving. I think Rich Rod is going to try to tire teams out late, close the gap. That gets a star. That's exactly what they did. Wouldn't you say that, Eric? That's exactly what Rich Rod did.
That's been Rich's MO for a long time. I completely agree, John. He loves to wear defenses down. Just keep punching them. Just keep running it. And eventually, when you start breaking off those big runs, it just robs that defense of any desire to keep going.
Well, Afton giving us a big stamp of approval. WVU wins handily.
Wow.
Hopefully it's just not thumb wrestling. So Curtis D316 is giving us Robinson gets his first sack on James. So news is if you lived in a cave, you know about Jamari Robinson. I got to talk to him briefly for like maybe 5 minutes at breakfast at this Suncrest Plaza over at the Hilton Gardens when he was staying there in January. You remember that, Eric?
I do.
So, I'm just hoping. I think that was January I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't remember. But
might have been February.
Might have been February. I'm trying to think the time he came in, but I ran into him because I don't even know what I ate for breakfast. But so we all know the story behind him. He's had a rough go. I'm just so happy to see him get an opportunity to play a couple snaps. The hype train has been off the rails for this cat. And if he can just get his hands on Jaden Daniels, it's going to be a bad day. And that might be the difference changer for West Virginia coming into this game. Adding fuel to a bonfire of the defense. I mean, what do you think?
Shane, he averages something like right around eight quarterback hurries per game. That's insane. Himself, he gets that. That's crazy. Now, mind you, that's against lesser talent, but he's going to be in a scheme that, again, I think he's going to be in the right system. So again, it's going to be a case of the right player and the right system, and that makes all the difference in the world. But just real quickly, jump into the offense for just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one thing to love how the players are playing, especially the last game. They did an amazing job. That Pitt game was an instant classic. It's going to be one to watch and treasure. Pitt fans are going to be choking on that one till 29. It's gonna, like you said, it's got Narduzzi on the hot seat. That being said, check out the post-game interviews from Nico. Tremendous. He sounds like a seasoned NFL quarterback. He's got the maturity and the poise. Check out Ty Edwards. First time in front of the microphone, that young man did a fantastic job. Check out Gallagher. Gallagher had another. He was another one who quietly had a great game. Scored very high in the PFF. I love what we're doing on the field and the things that the players are portraying in front of the cameras. Fantastic. I'm sure it's carrying over in other areas too.
Now, rabbit hole time. Okay, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. This might get. Some people are gonna love it. Some people are gonna hate it. The uniform announcement for the Utah game is the 1965 throwback. What are your thoughts on throwback uniform?
I'm a big fan of uniforms in general, and in particular throwbacks. Mm-hmm. My favorite helmet is either the gold, the bright gold, not the old gold, but the traditional Notre Dame gold looking helmet with the state outline. Right up there with it is the white with the gold, with the state outline. I'm a fan. Now I know a lot of people hate, because they're like, it doesn't look like the right West Virginia blue. For the time period when it's actually accurate, yeah. And really, I think it's going to look pretty good, because if you look at the San Diego Chargers had a very similar kind of concept, powder keg blue, and they enriched it the same thing with the old gold. It looks great on camera. It really does.
Yeah, a little splash in I was at Dick's, and they had those t-shirt hoodies that are just kind of like t-shirt hoodies. I'm like, that looks good. I'm gonna get it. And I look, and it's like $90. I'm like, I'll spend $90 on this shit. I put it back up. But I didn't dig them at first, and they're growing on me. And I think as the game comes closer to, we're 10 days out for what? No, we're just little 12 days out from that game.
Yeah.
But they're growing on me. And I think it was the fact there was that powder blue in the middle, and the gold is just so like Notre Dame-esque. So I don't know. Jury's still out for me. I do like, if I'm going to go retro, I'm going to go retro to a time and place where the West Virginia was the most successful, and that would probably be the really ugly 05 uniforms with the stripe, the sash up the side is like, you see guys still rocking the OG originals that don't fit them. So that's what I'm saying. But anyways,
I love that look.
Back to Kansas. So, there is a website, 304 Uniform, where you can actually see what they've worn over the past, how many umpteen years. It's a pretty cool website. Check it out. I think they're going to wear all whites this coming game against Kansas. Do we have a time announced for that? I was looking to see if I could find that. I don't see a time announced.
I hadn't seen one yet.
I'm looking right now, kids. So, anyways, so what are your thoughts about the offense? Are we going to see three quarterbacks next week?
Before we dive into that, can we address John Kelly's comment about the spread real quick?
Yeah.
The spread started off nearly at 14, I think. It might have been 13 and a half. And it's coming down. And I think that's obviously it's reflective that money's going on the West Virginia side of the house. I think there's too much uncertainty yet for folks, because this, people can't get past the Ohio loss. And I get it. And quite honestly, Ohio should be upset about that, because they're getting very disrespected. Ohio's a good ball club, although they got their hats handed to them this last Saturday. Ohio State looks like a juggernaut.
Yeah, Ohio State is legit. So is Penn State. I hate to say that living up here, but Big Ten has two schools this year that are legit. I don't know about anybody else in the Big Ten, but Ohio State and Penn State are the ones to be reckoned with. Michigan, jury's still out. Michigan State, I really don't know. But
they might steal a few wins.
They might. ACC, Florida State looks pretty good, pretty darn good. around the bend, you did see UCLA had nobody in the stands. I mean, my local high school team probably tripled the amount of folks that were there. But let's hit the chat real quick, and then we're going to close it out with final thoughts. So the only QB that hasn't played yet is Max Brown, and Max Brown really has a good arm. Mountaineer Paul did a great show last week about Max Brown. He had Jackson Johnson from the Voice of College Football Alabama show on there, and he talked about Max Brown, how he has really nice quick release. Max Brown played at Florida, has experience against SEC schools, not just one or two games, multiple games. So I'm just surprised we didn't see Max Brown. I'm surprised we didn't see Max in front of Fox.
Makes me wonder if he's maybe still not 100%.
Yeah, John says, I realize they scored 31 points in SEC Stadium. The odds place still don't trust it. We're still underdogs in every Big 12 game. Yeah, no one believes in West Virginia. And you know what? Until I didn't believe in West Virginia when I was walking towards my car. Yeah, they were down 10, 6 minutes and 50 seconds left. They just looked flat. They had a freshman that threw 2 interceptions. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't run it. They had established the run earlier, and it just collapsed. It looked like their linemen were just getting suffocated. There was no push. I thought it was a conditioning problem, but all of a sudden, when I watched it later that night, the offensive line looked like it was energized. Maybe they picked up those batteries I was throwing at those pit cheerleaders. Ohio held tough for three quarters. And that's just one of those things where I see it in high school. You see it more so in college, where a team doesn't have the depth, doesn't have the bench, and their front seven and the other front, their front and their other they can battle it out, and they're even. But it's that third, fourth quarter, you just lose your legs when you're on the field that long.
Yeah, and I didn't mean any disrespect towards Ohio. Let's be clear. Ohio State is. I already told a friend of mine. I think they're going to contend for a national title this year. And when I say contend, they are my pick.
No, I agree. So 9 offensive linemen on the field was not. They did a power package. They did a power package when they did. They lined up almost like a wing T with a heavy left side, and they had guards on the left. That was Curtis D 316. That was dynamite. I'm going to give you a star. That was dynamite. Caden the Diesel freak. He is our resident Ohio State fan. Big win for them over the Bobcats. They contained. It was hairy for the first 2 quarters though, Caden. Yeah, I didn't have coffee all day, so I'm deciding this late to drink some. So well, I never have problems sleeping. I'm a maniac like that. But so to close out the show, Eric, what do you think? What are your thoughts about the Big 12? Do you have any favorites? I mean, Arizona. I don't know. They look okay. Iowa State looks okay. Texas Tech looks good. BYU. Utah.
Utah,
and Utah. I think everything goes through Utah. Utah is going to be the litmus test. It's going to be the measuring stick for the Mountaineers on how good they are in 2 weeks.
And this has happened because Utah. I mean, they have a lot of resources. That's a bigger school in that sense. They look really good. BYU was one of my favorites. As usual, the Big 12 is so level as far there's so much parity is the word that you hear year in year out, and it's true again this year. I tell you, I'm not discount like you said. Our litmus test. First Kansas. Kansas is not to be overlooked. They are very dynamic, especially with their quarterback. But, I just want to see us put up a good game against Utah. I'm it's the first season. I won't, be too heartbroken if we don't win. But man, I'd love to pull off that miracle.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. And here's the other thing. I'm going to pull up some of the Big 12 schedule here real quick, just because you can't. After this win, the one thing that makes college sports so great is the fact that there's a little bit of hope. And when you have that little bit of hope, you're like, okay, we might be able to win a few games. And here we have Texas Tech and Utah. This is going to be a game, guys. We talk about a game to watch, and last week, or was it last week? Yeah, last week we were pretty spot on a few of those. But this Texas Tech game is going to be a banger. Both of these teams are coming into Morgantown. So if you are a Mountaineer fan, you're definitely going to want to watch this game, because both these guys are going to be facing the Mountaineers. I have no idea. I think Texas Tech pulls out the win and Utah just limps into Morgantown.
That'd be fine by me. I think Iowa State. I mean, I'm completely overlooking them. That's another program. We talked a lot of respect.
Yeah, these are just some games that I thought I'd pull up here just to see, because that's the one that I just thought was fantastic to kind of.
Oh yeah.
So that's the game that I'm definitely going to be watching. It's a noon game. This week West Virginia plays at 6, which is kind of a nice time to watch a game, because you can put something in your crock pot, get some work done around the house, and then kick back and not feel like a total shitbird because you didn't do anything all day but watch college sports. Not that any of you guys in the chat would, because you guys aren't shitbirds. You guys are definitely, and we have some of the smartest folks in the chat. But John Kelly says, yep, big noon kickoff. We get both of them at home. Yeah, so those are going to be big games. But as the schedule starts flushing out, we're going to really see Rich Rod kind of come into his own. Now, here's the thing. I said it last week. I said, pump your brakes. I said, sky's not falling. I'm not usually right. I'm glad I was right. But it was one of those forks in the road. If West Virginia would have lost it, Eric, it would have been, fire and brimstone. It would have been.
Oh my God, those are the exact words I was going to use.
Oh, he would have been catching hell, and it would have been terrible. And that fork in the road, West Virginia gets a little bit of love after losing the opportunity to play on, on game day.
Game day.
So that the fork in the road, but there's still a long road ahead, because this is still kind of like the 2003 season where they were 8-4. And guys, be realistic. West Virginia is probably not going to be, if they go 4-2 over the next 6 games, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be just jumping around and having a great time. But they might go 3-3. That's still not bad.
No, these teams. And Shane, real quick before we sign off here, I wanted to get your thoughts. I'd love to hear from folks in the chat if they can, real quick. This Pitt victory felt very much like the Louisville victory.
That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head, Eric. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, how this season needs to mirror that, and that's the pivotal change when Bernardic came in. Maybe when Bernardic got hurt and Pat White came in, maybe that Nico coming back in was that, because he seems to, guys, if you don't remember this, was it 2019 when Nico played 19 or 20? I think it was 20. It was right in COVID. Nico played against a premier school in Arizona, and they were down with 2 minutes left. I think it was 18 points. And onside kick, recovery, score. He willed them back to victory. And it seems like when he's under pressure and it's really bad, he shines. And Cool Hand Luke, just like Cool Hand Luke. Exactly. Without the eggs. But John Kelly says, something's different about this team with Coach Rod. It feels like old WV football is back against with Spark Passion. I think the biggest thing, Eric, John, chat, I think the biggest thing is the fact that you don't have to have the ball last. You can count on the defense to make a stop or two. That is reassuring. That's something the Mountaineers didn't have against Pitt last year. That's something that they didn't have in multiple games last year. It was like, okay, we scored too quick. Oh, shit. They're going to drive down and score. We can't stop them. That was the theme last year. This year, defense travels. It's going to be the difference in 3 games for the Mountaineers. But
So 3 guys listened to 3 guys for the game, and somebody made an excellent point. I think it might have been Tony. Uh, for those of the younger generation who weren't here for Rich Rod 1, the notion that you never felt out of a game because you felt like at any moment the offense could catch fire and the defense could hold. The excitement, that sense of at any moment this could erupt, and the fact that you had a defense that was just a pack of wild dogs that were coming in from everywhere. What you saw last Saturday, that instant classic, that younger generation, this is what we've been talking about.
that's that for them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My instant classic was my freshman year watching West Virginia beat Miami. Right before they beat Miami, the announcement came over the PA that Boston College had upset #1 Notre Dame, and you knew West Virginia was going to move up in the top 3. And all they had to do was beat that Miami team with that 4 minutes left, and they pulled it out. And that was the biggest crowd at Mountaineer Field of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I just want, I would have to say that, that was exciting, but I think I felt more excitement in that 2006 season, like watching the whole season. But guys, it's got to get back there where we're closer now than we were a week ago. A week ago, I could barely see the trees. It was just everything was so far away. Now, okay, West Virginia could play in a bowl game. West Virginia can win a bowl game. West Virginia you can see a pick 6. The fact that you could actually see in your mind, contemplate a defensive score just blows your mind. That wasn't even, with Neil Brown, you might as well just believe in Santa Claus and Bigfoot. Or Bigfoot in a Santa Claus outfit.
Honestly, the notion of Rich kept talking about hard edge, never quitting, and he was saying that in the post game. That's what we have. You have something to believe in. Let's try to be cautiously optimistic is probably a great way to say it, and let's watch, because when back in 2005 after we beat Louisville, that season turned out to be incredibly special, but it was a great one to just sit and watch and learn.
Now, Eric, you must know exactly what the outline is, because we're gonna finish this off with now. Here's the pivot. Looking at West Virginia's schedule, I don't think they beat Utah. I don't think that happens. The win at Kansas will determine whether they are sniffing at a bowl or they make a good bowl. That's what it comes down to. I hate to say it, but you have to be able to handle your business on the road. A couple road wins will make the difference of a bowl that we're like, what bowl is this? Where's it at? Southwest Missouri State Municipal Stadium in Springfield. What? No. We want to, as fans, we want a decent bowl. Want it to be warm weather. I don't want any bowl in North Cackalack. Okay, that's just West Virginia East for me. I don't want North Cackalack. I don't want a bowl there. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm sorry, but give me like somewhere in Arizona, Florida, hell, California. I don't care. Just not Cackalack, not New York. Don't want a pinstripe bowl. I don't want to freeze my nards off. Don't want to do that. But totals, I think I think for Rich Rod, 8 wins is a solid B plus. Anything above 8 wins is an A. Uh,
Oh my goodness.
I'm shooting for 8 wins. 8 wins, Eric.
Oh,
8 wins.
you haven't given up the faith. I got to tell you, I started off with 7. My problem was, I felt 7 was very doable, but I think most everybody was counting on a win against Ohio. So that does hurt. So, but that's the thing about the Big 12. You never can tell. And it's not against, it's not unquestionable at this point still. But you're right. If we're going to be, you know, talking about finishing in that kind of area, you got to come away from Kansas with a win.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Eric, you said it. I back you up. Recruit wise, on paper, you have players that have played together for a year or two under Pat Narduzzi. At times, they looked a lot better than West Virginia. West Virginia had dogs. West Virginia had heart. They didn't have a lot of the players. It seemed at times that they weren't as well coached as Narduzzi's team at times. And then all of a sudden, the bottom fell off, and it looked like no one was even coaching them. Rich Rod has the pulse of this team. He knows exactly what these guys are doing. The fact that he had pulled those quarterbacks and was rotating through, I was one of the people in the stands like, what the hell are you doing? When Fox threw that second interception, I literally almost crapped my pants. Like, it felt like someone punched me in the gut, and I was about ready to just either throw up or shit myself. I was so upset because that was such an ugly interception. And I know I was embarrassed for the kid. I mean, I was embarrassed for the kid because you have 62,000 people watching this kid just lay an egg after he looked so good that first game against Robert Morris. He looked so good in the first drive. He's energetic. He was getting a lot of pressure, but he just has to tuck it and suck it. And he didn't do that. That is maturity. That's something that'll come. Unfortunately, it will come. But I'm just hoping when he becomes a better ball player, which he will, it'll be with the West Virginia Mountaineers. And these lessons, these lumps that he's taking with the Mountaineers, that, other folks don't get the benefit from them. Like sometimes coaches move on and you get your lumps, you know what I'm saying, Eric. But anyway, let me see what Eric has to say. I agree. Any bowl will be beneficial. Tim Green, I think will be 6-6, possibly 7-5. I think that is definitely the target. John Kelly, I think there's chinks in the armor of the Big 12. At least we don't have to face Alabama, Miami, Ohio State. Yeah, Miami is playing ball, and it's like how they have eco. You're a fisherman. There's certain, like, when you see mayfly larvae and you see certain caddisflies and certain things in the ecosystem, it's healthy. When you see the hurricanes on Sports Center and you hear about the hurricanes and The Rock is saying the hurricanes are going to lay a whooping on somebody's candy ass, college football is healthy. The pulse is good, and all is good in college. Because guess what? I don't care. Notre Dame's up and down. That's like a heartbeat. It's like, oh, Notre Dame lost? Well, whatever. Who cares? Army's terrible. Well, they've been terrible since, 1945. They haven't been good since back in, the 40s. But Miami, I'm not a huge Miami fan, but I'm a fan of college football. And Miami's entertaining when they do have a good team. Florida State, entertaining when they have a good team. That's a matchup I want to see. Alabama, they could take their lumps here and there, but there are just certain teams that it's better when college football has them in the win column. Do you want them in the win column all the time? No. I don't know. So Eric agrees that Kansas is pivotal. freshman in a bad position. The kid is not even probably. Eric, we were trying to figure out how old he is. He's probably 2 whisker hairs older than 17 or 18. He's just a baby. That defender's just standing right there. Yeah, it was a duck. It's just like the guy's like, what? You want me to? Okay, I'll take this ball. Satter still. How is? Yeah, that guy should be getting his AARP card pretty soon. Thanks for a great show. Well, we aim to please. We're over our limit. I have to pop smoke because it's about that time. Eric, we had a great show. What's our next show? When are we doing our next show? Thursday?
Thursday. What time?
Well, that's going to be 8 p.m. Thursday. Monday nights is 9 p.m. 8 p.m. is our call-in show. So if you have, we try to answer some of the chats and play off the cuff, but if you have some questions, think about them, put them in the chat. We're going to get a little bit more in depth on Kansas, talk about some of their previous games, match Kansas up to West Virginia and see who looks like they have the edge. And we're going to have a great show Thursday. Guys, you got to tune in. We're getting back into our stroke. I took a few months off in the spring. We're getting back into our stroke. Eric's on board. It's my co-host. Things are looking bright for the Mountaineers. It's a good time to be a Mountaineer fan. And guess what, Eric? What are we going to close the show with?
You got to put the flag up there.
Great state of West Virginia.
There we go.
Good night.